Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. It's great to have so many people logging on and joining us today for our empowering webinar about driving attendance through considering the attendee experience. So just some general housekeeping notes. We will be able to take your questions at the end of our webinar. Elaine Rosquist from DMAI is monitoring our question board, so feel free anytime during the webinar to type in your questions so that you don't forget them, and she'll hold those to the end, and we will get started. We are so excited today at DMAI to have our guest as well as co-sponsor from CVent. But first, I would like to have the opportunity to welcome Rebecca Hennessy, CMP, with WellPoint Inc. And Rebecca is WellPoint's travel services consultant. And as that, she, within her procurement department, she is responsible for both the development and the delivery of programs associated with all of their travel and meetings that support more than 47,000 associates across the country. So big job, Rebecca, and I know that you're quite focused on building relationships with hotel partners to advance WellPoint's interest for meetings and business travel purposes. So you bring a wealth of experience and just a great know-how here. So we're so excited that you agreed to join us today. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thanks so much for having me, Terry.
Thank you. And we also have from CVent, our co-sponsor of this event, Kevin Fleece. And Kevin, Vice President of Product Marketing, is fairly new to CVent, but I know they are thrilled to have him, as Kevin has spent the last 15 years leading marketing and product management teams, both with startups as well as Fortune 100 global firms. Most recently, Kevin led a worldwide e-commerce product strategy for Hewlett-Packard. So welcome, Kevin. It's great to have you and CVent today.
Thank you so much. Really happy to be here.
That's great. So I do hear a little background feedback noise, and we had a clean check right before we started, so I hope it won't be too distracting for our panelists, and seems to be clearing up a little bit, so I hope we're good there. But today our discussion really is going to focus around the whole idea of experience and what it means to deliver experiential meetings. And many people get delivering a good quality level of service confused with delivering experiences themselves. So I think it'll be fun to kind of clarify some of that. We're also going to look at what are some essential components to creating a meeting experience. We're going to take a little bit of a dive into what attracts millennials. I know many of you are worried about the future health of your meetings and are interested in how we're going to get younger people more involved and committed to supporting our meetings. Then we hope to focus a little bit on how you can really use the power of Convention and Visitor Bureau destination experts to help you really infuse your meeting with the flavor of what is unique or what is going on in the destination. And then I know Kevin looks forward to showing you some resources from the CVent side that will help you find an ideal destination for your meeting, and also have the opportunity to look at some of DMAI's resources for planners as well. So let's get started. Rebecca, I'd like to talk to you about your own experience with planning meetings that are in fact experiential. And I was having a conversation with Jim Gilmore, who wrote a book called The Experience Economy. And Jim really is kind of a quintessential, I guess you will, curator of experiences. And I asked Jim, I said, what's the difference between experience and just good, high-quality service? And he said, it's really pretty easy for people to remember. Service is what we do, and an experience, or how we create an experience, is how we go about what we do. So do you, I know you have some examples from your own reference, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Sure, Terry. Thanks so much. One of the things that I think is important when looking at the difference versus a service and experience is truly the personality that comes with it. One example is that we had a large meeting that was going on in California, and we needed to make sure that we offered shuttle transportation from the airport to the actual meeting location. Within this, we knew, go ahead.
So then in that case, Rebecca, the transportation is the service, right? You're providing transportation from the airport to the venue.
Exactly. And we wanted to make sure it was a good service. We wanted to make sure we were providing someone that was on time, that offered a clean vehicle, but at the same time, we truly wanted to turn it into an experience. I know a lot of people have traveled into Los Angeles before and are familiar with the traffic. One of the things that we wanted to do was highlight some of the places along the way that some of our attendees might not have noticed. So what we did when we were putting together the groups for the shuttles was to make sure that we included a person from the travel team, and if we couldn't include a specific meeting planner or individual, that we at least paired them with someone that had been to the area before. That way, while they were on hopefully their 30-minute but could turn into 90-minute drive, they were able to take in some of the sites, know where our office locations were, and truly have a better understanding of the area where a meeting would be taking place, and also what all Los Angeles provides and offers as a destination.
That's really cool. So you then, by this partnership of sort of travel companions, made sure that that bus ride provided something more than just checking email during the bus ride and really keying in to hotspots in Los Angeles as well as your office locations.
Exactly.
Yes, very great example. So, Kevin, what about leveraging some technology?
Yeah, absolutely. We are moving to an experience economy, Terry. I think that's a great point. And, we're in the meetings business, and the meetings business is about creating personal connections. Well, technology can play a huge role in amplifying those connections. And increasingly, technology is making it easier to create new social connections. So as you think about the meeting and event space, some of the things we're looking at is how can we leverage mobile apps on site during the event in order to allow attendees to connect with one another more easily. Basically having your attendee list in the palm of your hand so that you can see who's there, who you might know within your social circles, and who you might want to meet. The second thing is, really taking all of the social chatter that's happening around meetings and events and bringing that front and center. So there's a new technology out there called a social wall, which we've been testing at certain events, which pulls together everything that's being said at the event on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and puts it on a giant billboard inside the meeting and event space. And it really helps create that offline-online connection and kind of brings that social connection front and center so that everyone at the event can appreciate what's happening within the social sphere, even if they're not connected.
I think that's really cool because I have to say, I have to admit, I have a lot of social media connection, but I'm not a big Twitter person, so I always feel left out of that sort of piece. So I think that that's really neat. Rebecca, what about you? I know we had talked before about what is essential to an experience, and we kind of created another tagline that, really to prompt experiences, you have to create memories, and then that produces a story for people to tell other people.
I think that's so true, and it's important to point out that when people are getting together for meetings, it's not simply about the education that you're providing for the meeting. It's truly getting to network and get to know one another, and with that, I think it adds a personal touch. So one of the things that we like to do in our event registrations is ask certain key questions that could come up throughout the meeting. So while we may be on a break, we'll be scrolling throughout the different meeting room, the responses to some questions. For instance, what was your first job? Or what was your favorite vacation? We've also included fun pictures of the attendees so that we can truly put people together. So it's not just a specific person that they're meeting from a department. They actually find a common ground and more of a bonding experience to connect with those individuals.
That's pretty cool, too, Rebecca. I just read an article, as a matter of fact, on a plane back from San Francisco yesterday, and they were talking about the number one question you should not ask someone when you first meet them is, what do you do, right? Because then it immediately shifts into, someone sort of explaining their job as opposed to you finding a role for a connection. So vacations or travel experiences or, maybe what we first did when we got into the industry are such great starters as well as kind of open up common ground and bond. Cool. So we want to give, part of our goal always in our webinars is to give our listeners and those who join us some resources. And Rebecca, I know we talked a little bit about PCMA's recent white paper, What the Millennial Generation Prefers in Their Meetings, Conventions, and Events. And you can find this white paper on PCMA's website. It was a foundation grant funded through PCMA's foundation. And I really found it interesting. And I wondered if you would like to chime in about some of the study results. And I actually found that it was very interesting that millennial generation, those 18 to 30, actually prefer face-to-face meetings as their number one form of communication. What did you think about that?
I thought it was a great testament to the meetings industry, and
I did too.
It makes you feel good to be in that industry, to see that people that are still up and coming within the workforce in the industry are seeing the importance of the face-to-face meetings and putting a true value on that. So much can be done over the internet, and we appreciate the webinars. And for instance, what we're doing today is a great piece of our education and networking. But I think that it truly would take something away if we weren't able to have the opportunity to have as many face-to-face meetings. So to hear them say that that's a priority is great for our industry and our culture.
What else did you distill or extract from the paper that you thought was interesting about what millennials are actually interested in?
One of the things that was great just for them to point out was to see that they like to see education paired with entertainment. It's definitely a priority, and I think it's important to focus on when we're looking at planning meetings, to have engaging events where people can truly bond over education with entertainment also being incorporated. So it's truly not just where you sit in a meeting all day and someone is speaking and drilling information into you. It's more of a conversation with, as you had mentioned, experiences. One of the other things that I think is very important is to make sure that you're providing networking and job opportunities into the meeting. It's an incorporation of promoting within and also seeing what opportunities are out there. If someone's looking to experience another industry or perhaps another position within their field, I think it's really nice to be able to use the different types of media that we have. I know that email and texting was pointed out as some of the key channels of communication, and we've been very fortunate to partner with Cvent and using their mobile applications to kind of communicate that data and information sharing through them, not only with the registration tool, but also being able to point out different things and keeping the attendees engaged throughout the entire meeting and event.
Absolutely. And what about that, Bulla? I think that it's interesting that millennials still prefer, and I think a lot of people join them in this, the meetings that are structured, that are short, and really simple and getting straight to the point.
I love that. And one of the things that we try to do is make sure that we have a clear and concise agenda that's communicated beforehand so people feel comfortable when they know they're coming to the meeting as to what's going to be discussed. We want to make sure that they are familiar with the key topics. Definitely when going on site for a meeting, one of the key things is to get in and get out. We want to make sure that key topics are addressed. There's always time for questions, but we want to make sure that we have a plan of attack and action. And I think by keeping it consolidated and concise is crucial in today's environment.
Okay, last one on this, we really do hope that our attendees will head over to PCMA to grab this report. As you mentioned, it's really well formatted, it's easy to read, and it's easy to extract the key takeaways. But often I think of younger attendees as being pretty, the me generation, but really they expressed such a desire to be part of social projects. How important are social responsibility programs to attendees in your experience?
I think it's vital from all areas of social involvement, whether you can incorporate something at the beginning or end of a meeting where that you can be involved within the community, even if it's just for a short period of time, depending on kind of the audience. One of the things that we like to do is, unfortunately for individuals working within a healthcare organization, there are lots of people that need to be cheered up. So we actually were working with one of our facilities in California, and what we did was we actually had cards that on a break people could actually send a card to someone that was in need of, just some boost of morale and kind of letting people know that they were there for them. So it's important, even if it's just for a few minutes, to be actively engaged and involved.
I love that idea. It's so simple, very straightforward. Again, kind of an engagement that you can get during a short period of time. Doesn't mean you're going out and spending a whole afternoon. That is actually a really great takeaway, Rebecca. So recently, as if this travel and meetings industry needs another acronym, I had a trip to Chicago, and when I came home, someone asked me, how was your trip to Chicago? Because they knew that it was really one of my favorite destinations. And I said, I have to tell you, I don't really know. I definitely got caught in the ATHTA rut. And that was simply, getting on a plane, flying to Chicago, getting in a taxi, going to the hotel, spent 3 days there, breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the hotel, got back on my taxi, went back to the airport. And so, not the richest experience in terms of destination appeal. And I know, again, we didn't talk about it, Rebecca, but that getting a feel for the destination and going to unique destinations and taking advantage of them is one of the reasons people are attracted to attend specific meetings. So I wondered if you might be able to discuss the possibility of weaving in destination flavor into your meeting and how you've experienced the CVB as a power resource for kind of getting out of that rut, if you will.
That's a great question. So I think it's important, especially when you're going to a destination that you're not familiar with, is to truly utilize the CVB because they can offer solutions for things that you didn't even realize were possibilities, especially when looking at an event that might not be a citywide but that you can incorporate multiple facilities with. I think it's important to pick up the phone, make the call, shoot an email over to the CVB just to see what their ideas and thoughts are because they truly are the expert on that destination. I can recall working with the CVB one time, and they actually brought us in for a site tour of multiple experiences within the city, but what was nice is they kept the flavor throughout. So for instance, I know when working with Indianapolis, they truly bring home the racetrack and all of the feelings and kind of being a sports house for the entire city. So they have all sorts of different areas, whether it be the NCAA museum, the different hotels, of course, the football team, the basketball team, the women's basketball team, and then, of course, the speedway. And within this, you can incorporate these for whether it be different activities, if there's a reception. They can also be creative when doing team building activities, and they can truly offer some solutions that you may have even never thought about.
Yeah, I think that is, I was with a great team up in San Francisco yesterday with Wells Fargo, and one of the questions that came up in my meeting was, isn't pretty much everything I need to find on the Internet? And we kind of all laughed about it because we said, well, I guess technically maybe the answer to that question might be yes, except the Internet doesn't often take you off the beaten path, and it always takes you to sites that were created advertorially, right, to sell things. And so oftentimes you need a person to say, here's the real skinny on some of these, possibilities. I know my team in CVB team in Savannah told me recently, I wonder what you think of this, Rebecca, that they were actually having local men and women who live in the area that might be part of the local women's club or historic society or home and garden society act as docents and actually lead tours through historic neighborhoods for spouse programs. And I thought, wow, now that's really infusing a program with local flavor.
Definitely. I love that idea.
I know. I think it's super, super cool. So I know now that I'd like to be able to turn this over to Kevin, and Kevin's going to give us an opportunity to understand from a technology standpoint how you may be able to better access some of the resources on CVent that will put you into a better position to really add that flavor.
Thank you, Terry. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, great. So yeah, what I want to do right now is just briefly show you some of the resources CVent offers through its online destination guide. And it's really there to help meeting planners throughout the process of creating a meeting that delivers the best possible experience. If you want to advance the slide, that'd be great.
Oh, you just did.
Okay, I'm not seeing it on my end. Okay, great.
Hold on, I think we can.
I got it now. I can see it now. So great. So thank you. So this is really about what I want to talk to you about is we'll bring the slide back up here in just a moment. How do you really uncover your, the destination's hidden treasures? And so CVent has pulled together a destination guide that covers more than 1,000 destinations worldwide. And it's really a great tool for uncovering the gems and the nuggets that make a destination unique. So we provide specific info on accommodations, on restaurants, on attractions, all of which is really tailor-made to a group audience. So for example, here you can see we're looking at New Orleans, and earlier on, Rebecca talked about, how great it would be to discover a unique sort of transportation option when you're planning an event in a destination. And who knew that you could, charter a trolley in New Orleans to get your attendees from point A to point B. So this is those are the kinds of gems we've spent more than 800,000 person hours uncovering these unique attractions, and all of this content is out there at empowerMINT.com, and it's available for free. Once you've sort of discovered the destination that you're interested in, obviously the process doesn't end there. A critical element is connecting with experts on the ground. CVent provides the most comprehensive list of destination marketing experts anywhere on the web, and you can reach out to them by phone or email. Again, all this information is at your fingertips. There's no charge to using this information, and we know that the journey to sourcing, finding a destination and sourcing a venue can take months, if not years. And so we feel like this combination of having excellent content plus putting DMO contacts at your fingertips is really a powerful combination.
So what you were showing us there then, Kevin, was really on the CVent Destination Guide, all that cool information as well as that button at the bottom right that says, hey, read all this, look at options, and then reach out to that destination expert. Pretty cool.
Exactly. It's a closed loop. So you can do the research. We'll put you in touch with the right DMO contact. And when you're ready, you can send a direct request to the local CVB. The requests are routed automatically to the right contact at the CVB, who will pass it along to their recommended properties, making it very easy for you to compare and make a decision. Again, all the while, you're maintaining a close connection to your local DMO, who can help you guide you through the decision-making process. And ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about delivering a great meeting experience. So CVent has pulled together the content and the contacts, and we've made that information actionable and put it out there as a mechanism and as a tool for any meeting planner to utilize. And again, there's no charge to do so.
That's wonderful, and I think it allows also the opportunity. I know planners, Rebecca, maybe you want to comment to this thought, but sometimes planners get very, very frustrated that they send out a RFP through an electronic resource, or some even are still using email to source them, but at the end of the day, they're not getting back the responses they want to get. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about, how you corral the cats and some of the ways that CVBs can help you expedite getting responses back.
Definitely. One of my favorite things that we actually utilize for a lot of our travelers is to direct them to the convention calendars for different cities so that they can truly see what's going on, because most of the time people don't remember where Super Bowl is going to be this year or what major conferences may be going on. So you may want to go ahead and avoid those peak times. With that, I think that CVBs can truly help you get responses from all sorts of venues and truly want to be a good resource and partner to you by offering responses if a hotel can't get back to you right away, to let you know what's going on and why there may be a lag and delay. And I think that CVent truly can give you that opportunity to partner with technology and that direct access to a CVB.
And I think that's really the point that we're all trying to drive in terms of creating the best experiences, not only for attendees, but creating the best experiences for planners as well. It's probably a combination of good technology like CVents, the opportunity to engage with CVB partners and have that sort of personal touch to your technology solutions. DMAI also has a web portal, empowerMINT.com, where you can find the CVB experts that Kevin was referring to, and also be able to get up-to-the-minute curated destination news in terms of what's new product-wise as well within destinations. So I am so grateful to the both of you. I think you provided some really unique suggestions, Rebecca, from your own expertise, and Kevin as well as being our sponsor and letting all of our planners know how to access CVent in a more direct way to get personal help as well. We do offer CMP credit, and next week you will get a link to the recording of this video and slide share, and then you will also get your certificate for your CMP credit. So look for that to be delivered via email in the next 5 meeting days. So I do want to be able to ask Elaine Rothquist, who's with DMAI. She is monitoring our question board, and I've seen some questions come in, Elaine, and I wondered if you might address those for Kevin and Rebecca to answer at this point.
Sure. One specifically, hopefully you can hear me okay, Terry?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, great. One specifically for Rebecca was if you could provide examples of edutainment, as you referred to it.
Oh, we definitely try to incorporate education with entertainment. One of the most recent ones was working with our supplier diversity team, and they actually created their own version, hopefully it's not copyrighted, of Jeopardy! Where we truly went over all sorts of different aspects of supplier diversity and how we can incorporate it throughout the industry, and just some key facts and figures of what's going on across the country with that. And it was really interesting to see how many people were excited to answer and participate, and from there truly reward them. So it may be with small things, but we also like to have the pride factor of making sure that we win.
Good answer.
Great. And actually,
some other?
Yeah, well, I was about to say to Lauren, no, I'm sorry, that was who asked the question, but also about the creating experiences through food. Have you experienced a taste of place? What are cities doing to highlight the food culture in unique ways? And that's a pretty broad question, but if anyone has examples of that.
I think we try to do it everywhere. One of the things, as Terry pointed out, is that you sometimes can't really get out and about. So we try to make sure that we bring the destination flavor to the meeting. So that can include, kind of like a clam bake when we're up in the New England area. It went over really well because it's a wide variety, and people truly get a kind of taste the flavor of the city. So it just kind of depends on where we are. Whenever we do have meetings in the Chicagoland area, we try to incorporate the Garrett's popcorn. It's one of the little things that people look forward to on a break and really kind of break up the meeting and, let people have a taste of the city.
And I think also CVBs are in every destination. Their food is really front and center, and so I feel that every CVB would be in a great position to offer you good information on how to get local chefs involved, how to put together a culinary guide for their destination, all of those pieces are at their fingertips, and they're things that might take you a long time to create, and they would have quickly.
Definitely, and a lot of the farm to table too, which is really popular across.
Yeah, farm to fork, farm to table. I even saw a cute one the other day, a promotion for farm field to mouth. So everybody's they're working on it, right? They're any way they can get it. They're trying to really say, get what's freshest going.
I love it.
Elaine, I know there was a question too about the PCMA paper and
many about that.
Yeah, the name of the paper on PCMA's website is What the Millennial Generation Prefers in Their Meetings, Conventions, and Events. So you can go to PCMA's site or quickly Google what the millennial generation prefers in their meetings, conventions, and events, and I know that will pop right up for you. I know there was a question for Kevin. Do you have that as well, E?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was about the how a planner decides how many hotels and destinations to distribute a lead to. That question?
Yeah. Kevin, so the thought process of, how does a planner decide how many is too many? And then what about how hotels perceive, from your perspective, how do hotels perceive a lead differently if they see that, 5 destinations are being sourced in, maybe 30 or 40 hotels?
Great question. That's a great question. So what we see, what the data shows on our side is, on average, meeting planners send a request for proposal to an average of 10 different venues within a destination. Of those 10 venues, about 4 on average will respond, 4 will turn down, and 2 just kind of vanish off into the ether. We don't really know what happens to them. So 10 seems to be about the average when you're talking about sourcing within a destination. I think from a supplier perspective, of course, they would prefer a very targeted approach. And so what we try to do with CVent's technology is to really put forth the best venues based on property need dates, based on what the planner's looking for in terms of creating that event. And we really try to marry those two things so that the search results are as relevant as possible. So 10 seems to be about the average, and that seems to lead to satisfaction and happiness on both sides. Suppliers feel like they have a fair shot at winning the business, and planners feel like they're getting enough variety of responses that they can make an informed decision.
That's good input. Rebecca, I was in a meeting where a planner had said, I think it's the more the merrier. I put it out for as many as I possibly can. And then someone else interjected and said, if you're sending out RFPs for, to 50 properties, they look at you and think either A, you don't know what you want, or B, you're just fishing and they're not really interested in that expedition. So I'm wondering if you feel like a conversation with someone prior to hitting send might help you eliminate those who won't respond because, they're never going to meet your rate, or they're going to be sold out over those dates to an event in the city, et cetera, that if reaching out to somebody who could kind of educate you about the destination could help ease some of that frustration. What's your opinion on all this, Rebecca?
Yes, I definitely think so. It's a pairing of the two minds. So definitely working directly with the person that is, working on the meeting to see what their key criteria are when hosting that meeting, and then partnering with, technology, CBB, the different sources to say, here are the main things I'm looking at. Is this something that you can deliver in this time frame? And what are your ideas and what are your thoughts and feelings, whether it be based on size, a specific, destination or location, and then also, of course, any of those key attributes that would be beneficial to a productive meeting. And from there, hopefully you can narrow it down so that you're truly getting kind of that right mix. So definitely putting it into a place where you have enough variety and are able to offer solutions and get responses back that would offer something. But whenever you can get that information ahead of time directly from a CVP and know, kind of what you're getting into before you send everything out, I think it's important and definitely a step that shouldn't be overlooked.
Yeah, I like your comment. You know, it's really the meeting of the minds, right? Bringing all the solutions together, the technology, the people, letting them know what you're trying to achieve, tying that to what they can deliver, and, you know, maybe not being so haphazard with that send button, and could lead to a lot less people being a lot less frustrated, which is what we're all about. I mean, I think that's what all these solutions are about, is quelling frustration, providing great attendee experiences, and ultimately helping planners deliver the best experience that will drive attendance year after year. So I'd really like to thank both of you for joining us, CVent for also helping us sponsor and promote this event. And as said, we'll reach out to you next week with the recording of the webinar and your CMP certificate. Elaine, any more burning questions before we close?
No, just lots of clarity on all the items that are free. So many of the things that were discussed today, just to be, again, restating that CVent, empowerMINT, and all CVB resources are free.
Correct, so that the opportunity to use either one of the web portals does not cost the planner anything, and to reach out to a CVB for distribution of their RFP or help in their destination is paid for by those vested in tourism in that destination. So not necessarily free, but paid through by sponsorships of others invested in tourism and as well. So thank you very much again, everyone, and we hope you have a great day, and we hope you will join us next month for our Empowering webinar. We plan, you'll see all of our notifications for the 18th, but we're going to be talking about TSA PreCheck and how you can ease your attendees' travel experience by helping them get through lines much more quickly. So look forward to that, and look for our webinar promotion there for next month. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kevin and Rebecca, again, and have a great day.